Now, in order to show you how Onion Skin works, we need something that Onion Skin will work on. So I'm going to go ahead and make a new document, and we'll just do the same settings as before. Document type, film and video, size HDTV 1080p. Tell it OK. And again, I'm going to go to view and clear those guides. I don't want those right now. And I'm going to create a video timeline, not a frame animation timeline. And we've got layer 0. Now I'm going to want actually a whole bunch of layers, but I also want to know how big this is and what's going on. First things first, I want 12 frames per second. So I'm going to go over to set the flyout menu on timeline. And again, if you don't have timeline, get that by going to window, timeline, flyout menu on timeline, set frame rate, set timeline frame rate, set this to 12, tell it OK. All right, so how much do we have here? If I drag on over, so we have 4 seconds, that's huge. I don't want that much. I'm going to shrink down my working space. Let's just do, too much, even be too much. Let's just do a second. Okay. Call this background. And it might be good to save this. So we're going to call this Onion, if I can type, Onion Skin Demo 001. So we've got Onion Skin Demo. Great. Now that said, I'm going to need some frames. So I'm going to create a new layer. This layer is far too large. I just want it 1 frame long. I'm going to zoom in. And we'll call this frame 1. And actually, what I really want is 12 of these. Duplicate this. Frame 2. And I'm going to slide frame 2 over. Although I would like frame 1 to be at the top. There we go. Duplicate some more. And we'll call this frame 3. We'll call this frame 4. And I'm going to move these around carefully. Up. So we've got these moved around. And I need more. And again, I want them chronologically stacked so that they make chronological sense. Frame 5, frame 6, and I could actually make these as I go, but I'm just going to do some prep in advance. Frame 7, frame 8, and I want these to be ordered correctly. They're ordered correctly. I want them to line up in the timeline. So I'm going to shift click across. Almost there. We need 4 more. Let's grab 4 more, duplicate those. And again, thank you Photoshop for nothing. I want these to be down at the bottom. Frame 9. I love how different versions of Photoshop will be closer or further away from doing what you want. It's never quite the same depending on the version you're in. Frame 11 and frame 12. Here we go. And now I'm going to shift click and move all of these over. You can see we've got 12 frames, 1 second worth at 12 frames per second. So let's say that I wanted to draw something. Now I've got a pen tablet, so I'm just going to make a new view real quick and move that down, that new view down to where I can reach it with my tablet. But now's a good time to save since we've got all these frames. And so let's go ahead and go to the first frame, and we'll just do a quick doodle, shall we? Maybe a darker color would be good. Here we go. Let's do just a little bigger. Do a little bird. All right, and we'll give it a little bird feather, some eyes, a little other bird wing, and a little bird beak. I feel as though it's facing the wrong direction. Let me change those legs. And we'll add that in like that. All right, so we've got a bird, maybe some tail feathers. And we've got a bird. It's a beautiful bird. We're happy with the bird. So now we want to draw this bird doing some bird things. So we move over to the next frame, but now we can't really see what we're doing because it's gone. Well, a couple of things. If I go forward too far, I can't see anything at all because what frame I'm on, just because these are all going everywhere. It's probably time for a video group. I'm going to shift click so I've got all of them selected. Now to make the video group, I'm going to go to this little sub menu that doesn't look like anything. And this drives me crazy because I always think that it's going to be stashed under layer, because you have something called video layers and you can make blank video layers. I'll show you what those do, but they're really horrible and you never want to use them because they can lead to so much heartache. Well, they're actually very specific times when you would want to use them. This assignment isn't one of those times. I'm just going to make a new video group. And I now have one video group. But you know what? Let's just do this. If I just, drag these over, it will video group it correctly. I don't know why it didn't video group it right that time. It should have just done something like this. Here we go. There we have it. Now we can see what frame we're on very easily. Get rid of this extra video group and save. But again, if I want to draw that bird again, I have to go back to remember what it looks like and then come back over here again and again. I don't want to do that, right? I really want the bird to be present everywhere. So now I could separate this out of the group and stretch it over and I could see the bird. I could do all kinds of stuff like that. Or I could use onion skin. Notice, let me go back in time just a moment. Oops, not that far. Step forward one more time. Notice we can enable onion skin right now, right? But, and I'm going to, just to let you know that you can do it, because sometimes it's not very clear that you can do it regardless of whether or not everything's in a video group or not. You can. That's all I want to get across there. Just forgot to show it first. Drag all these back up. All right. So now, onion skin time. Go up and enable onion skin. And it doesn't look like anything's changed. But then I move forward a frame. Notice that it got lighter. And then it disappears. Onion skin is a way of essentially having it like tracing paper being layered on top of each other instead of opaque paper. You can see 4 ways what you were drawing, what you were doing. So if I go over and I go to my onion skin settings, I'd see that I could look 1 frame before. I can instead do 2. And I could look for a number of frames after. Well, I don't need to do that just yet. There aren't any frames after. Later, that might be good. Maximum opacity is 50%. Minimum is 25. That just means that if you had like 20 frames, the maximum amount of opacity from that previous frame would be 50. The smallest ones would be 25. You'd want to adjust those as you get going. So in other words, if I were like here and it was 25, 25, 25, 25, if I back, that'd be fine. 4 back, that would be fine. But if I had like, I don't know, 9 back and I said minimum 25, it would drop down, drop down, drop down, and then it would be 25 all the way down and it would be confusing. So sometimes you need more minimum and maximum. You can fiddle with that as you need. Frame spacing just means how far back do you want to go. 1's fine in my case. Sometimes you'll want to skip back like 5 frames or something to get an idea of where things were if you're working with motion. Multiply, screen or difference, is the way that the blend mode will occur. Multiply is generally what you want when you're working with lines because, it will just be black. Normal is usually the other one. If you're working on white, you probably want screen. I'm going to use multiply. Tell it okay. So I've got this bird, yeah? So now I can move over a frame. And from there, I can try to paint, and it will give me all these little errors because I'm on frame 12 for some reason. And in fact, I accidentally set it up so everything's upside down. So I'm going to very quickly reorder all of the frames so that everything is correct again. Do watch out for that. Don't know why Adobe likes to mess with me sometimes, but sometimes it really, really does. 10, 11, 12. Shift click. drag these down. Here we go. Now these will be in the correct order. Notice I still can't touch anything because I'm past the point where this layer is active, the frame 1 layer. Frame 2, though, I should be able to paint on it. No, the timeline playhead's not over the target. Really? So it was fine the other way? It just really wants to be backwards, doesn't it? You are supposed to be here. It didn't. Oh, so it's just going to be backwards for some reason. All right, so apparently a quirk of this particular version of Photoshop. Let me reorder these back to where they were. Okay, whatever. So normally the top corresponds with the left and the bottom corresponds with the right. For some reason in this version of Photoshop, the exact opposite is true. I don't know what to say. It's just another quirk of Photoshop. So now that I'm on the timeline of the active frame, I can paint and it will go on fine. That's all that I wanted to do there. So now I can paint again. I could do another circle. Do some more bird feet. Do a little bird. Up. And there we go. Now I could move forward to the next frame. And then you can see that the time will change there. The position will change there. I need to click the frame that I'm on in order for it to be active. And I could raise this up even more. Maybe I'll have him trying to fly at this point. Wings down. Feet up just a bit. Did I remember his tail feathers on the last frame? Let's go back one. No. So make sure that that frame is the active frame. And add some tail feathers to that. So now I've got here, 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 here. Oh, make sure that's the active frame or I can't paint on it. I keep clicking in the wrong location. All right. And I don't like how that ended up. I just erase that section here and then grab my brush. Put a little beak. A little happy eyes. Have it a little flap. And now have its little feet up a little bit more. And now we'll move on to the next frame. We'll kind of have the bird start to even out a little bit. And we'll have his little legs get a little closer in all together. And give his little tail feathers. And have his little wings flap a bit. Now you can see why I only wanted to do 12 frames. Click on the next one. Let's have him hover for a second. Wow, I messed up that body twice. There we go. And we'll put his little beak back in. Have his little happy bird face. Give his little happy bird wings. And at this point, oops, I think I'm gonna put his little legs back. Save. And I'm just going to have him flap, I think, all the way up off the page. Yeah, let's have him go a little higher and then we'll have him land. So we'll just have him start going off the page. Little bird beak. Okay, and then we'll have him come over. And we'll have him hover here for a second, just a beat. There you go. And have him start descending a little bit. Now this is going to happen very quickly because it's just 12 frames over the course of a second. So I think I'll just have his little wings out. Have him go down a little bit further. I'm going to stretch him out a bit since he's dropping a bit faster. And maybe have him squash down. Maybe he descended a little too fast. And now we need him to start standing back up, but what did this last frame look like? Well, let's go back to our onion skin settings. And we'll go a frame after as well. And sadly, while that allows us to see the before and after period, it does not loop back around to the beginning. So what do? Temporarily copy this whole layer, frame 1, duplicate, and shove it at the end. Now we can see what it looked like between the two. So now I'll come in and do a little in between. If I can draw a circle. Okay, and now I don't need this last frame anymore. Delete that. Now I don't need onion skin anymore. Let me turn off enable onion skin. And let's see how this plays. Not too shabby. We have a little bird that flaps and flies. And there you go. That's how onion skinning works. Let's go ahead and take a look at that last piece that you should know about, even though I would not recommend you use in this particular assignment, which is what the video layer does. And we'll take a look at that in the next video. See you in a minute.